You guys want to know what just happened? I was taking Buddy for a walk, and we got like 2 blocks away, and suddenly just dumping rain, thundering noises. I was like, we're gonna get struck by lightning. So I like went really fast, walking, and guess what happened? This really adorable, but obviously it makes me a little bit bitter, off-leash dog comes and starts following us. I'm like, no! So Buddy and I are cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. I'm trying to stay away from this off-leash dog. The other lady is like calling her dog back, come here, come here. Buddy's staying with me in a heel, but he like kind of wants to play with it because it's a puppy and it's like, ah! Anyway, so now my hair's all wet. And I don't know, I feel like a storm chaser even though I did the opposite. There was something really exciting about being in this big open field and suddenly it was like, how's that for an opener? Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Jen. If you're new here, sorry about that weird opener. One of the things that I get asked about the most from you guys is how do I live my day-to-day life? I have my chronic migraine stuff, I have my POTS stuff, and I obviously have had to make a lot of modifications to my life. So in addition to the super obvious things like that I'm not working anymore and I've needed to eliminate a lot of things from my diet, what are some of the other things that I do in just like my day-to-day wandering around my house stuff that help me manage or mitigate my symptoms? For those of you who aren't sick, it'll just be a curiosity thing. Maybe it'll kind of give you some insight on how much of a deal this really is to deal with, to live with, how much of a deal this really is to live with. For those of you who are sick or who struggle with some of the same symptoms I do, maybe some of this will help you out. Maybe the crowdsource of information will be better than just whatever you've already come up with in your head. And for that reason, as always, I would love to hear your life modifications down in the comments. Anything else for intro? No, let's do the song. Ready for rapid fire? Daily nap. I wish it was actually daily, but it's actually it's mostly daily flat time, and sometimes I am lucky enough to be able to lay down long enough to snooze a little bit. But due to my head symptoms, I do need to lay down quite a bit. My symptoms get much worse when I'm vertical, and they get a lot better when I'm flat. I did this 48-hour flat test to test that and figure it out. So now I incorporate a ton of flat time into my life. Since I have POTS, my heart rate goes up like crazy when I'm standing up, and especially if I'm standing still. So whenever I'm cooking at the stove, or if I'm going to be cutting vegetables or standing somewhere for a long time, I'll bring over one of the bar stools and do it in a seated position. Keeping notes about everything and then needing to cross them off when I'm done talking about them. That's weird. When my husband and I do the dishes, I take the top rack and he takes the bottom rack. That's a lot less up-downs for me. It minimizes the amount of postural change that I have to go through. And then in addition, he gives me the 2 little basket things of silverware, and I'll go over and I'll do the silverware myself. That's a way for me to help without doing a lot of movement. That is almost no up-downs at all. And since the silverware does a lot of clinking sounds, I'm able to completely control it, so it's a lot less triggering for me. I'm not sure if that makes sense to non-migraine people, but noises that I inflict on myself are typically easier for me to deal with than big surprise ones or like sudden super loud ones. As always, I did already get my migraine alert, so do expect a decline over the course of this video. It seems weird and nitpicky and a little bit diva-esque, but I do try to avoid lifting up the baby. I don't necessarily avoid carrying the baby, but picking her up from the ground, and especially if I have to pick her up over a railing, can be really triggering for my head. So whenever it's possible, I do ask my husband to come on over and pick up the baby and hand her to me, but I don't do that to an extent where it's disruptive on his life. It's only if we're already hanging out together as a family. In addition to that, we're doing elimination communication with our daughter, meaning, here's a video. We started potty training like right when she was born, and I'm pretty capable of doing the holding her over the potty part because she's able to sit on the toddler seat and it's not a lot of work for me, and I don't need to bend forward. But then after I do that, I hand her off to my husband. My husband will finish putting her diaper back on her and getting her dressed again. The getting her dressed part is leaning over a little bit, or at least I'm bent down. And since I have usually already exerted myself by having her at the bathroom, that's one way to just make sure that I don't get overstimulated all at once. I'm not sure if I'm coming off as stuttery right now, but I am feeling really stuttery right now. Let's keep it going. Oftentimes, I watch the baby, and whenever that's possible, I try to be flat on the floor with her. I have figured out ways to be flat on the floor and feed her to have her sitting, to read her books, to work on her crawling, all sorts of baby activities, all of her enrichment and all that. Anything that I can handle doing while I'm flat, I will try to be flat for. The baby is now too heavy to be in her little portable bassinet, but when she wasn't too heavy, I would drag her around in that, especially when I had a migraine or vertigo, and that way I wouldn't need to ask for other people's help. Now she's too big for that, but I decided not to put the bassinet away. Now I use it as a toy chest. My husband is actually a lot more tidy of a person than I am, so I do feel a little bit bad that there's still a bassinet by the bed that's full of just baby stuff. But what that means is that I don't need to have a box on the floor or somewhere else that isn't waist height to put all of her baby things. I mean, we do need a place in the room for her baby things. So I'm thankful that he's been open to me leaving the bassinet in there so that I don't need to bend way down to pick up her toys. This list is going to start getting really random because it is. I work from home now, obviously. Alternate schedule, part-time schedule, working around my symptoms. And my husband actually works a flexible schedule too. So on Mondays we wake up. If I'm feeling well, I go ahead and get ready to film and try to film on Monday. But if I'm not feeling well, like yesterday, and I still had some live chat stuff to do on my Patreon, okay, maybe not the best day for filming. My husband will work while I watch the baby. And then hopefully Tuesday, which is today, I will feel better and he will be able to watch the baby so that I can film. I know that not everybody can do this like crazy flexible schedule thing. It took a long time to get here, to save up the money, we moved to a new state and did all this building up the YouTube trying to make it so that we could do this, but now that we're here, obviously that makes a huge difference for my symptoms. I always end up doing this with my hair. And my hair's always behind my ears. I'm growing out my bangs so they're like super ox. That's A-W-K-S, not O-X, like a cow. Okay. Increased salt. I eat so much more salt now. I didn't used to salt almost anything because I don't really like the taste of it. I know I'm weird, but now I put salt on everything. That's a POTS thing. I have bags of chips in my car just in case. I have salt packets in my purse just in case. I can lick my rock lamp just in case. I'm kidding. I probably could, but I won't. Moving on. When I make my schedule to hang out with friends, I don't plan things back to back. And by that I mean, if I have plans in the morning, I don't make plans that afternoon. Or if I have plans in the afternoon or evening, I don't make plans for the next morning. Doesn't matter if it's filming, if it's a doctor's appointment, if it's a phone call, if it's hanging out with people, if it's a meal. Doesn't matter what it is. I do not plan anything back to back because you never know when something's going to trigger a migraine, and you just need to leave enough time for that to run its course. I also don't plan things back to back time-wise. So let's see, yesterday we had something and then we were planning on doing a dinner at 6. What was it? Something was going to end at 5. I cannot remember what ended at 5 yesterday, and then we had another thing at 6. So because of that, I blocked out that hour to be flat time. I couldn't stay flat the entire hour. I had to, get up and get ready during that hour as well. But, oh, it was a hike. We got home from a hike at 5, and we knew that we had dinner at 6. So we got back from the hike. I announced to everyone I need to go lay down for about 10 minutes, maybe 20, maybe 30, however long it takes for my head to stop whooshing, and then I will come join you again. Whew, it took me way too many years to get comfortable saying that, to be like, guys, I just need to go lay down for like 10 minutes and I will rejoin when I'm ready. But that is a powerful phrase to add to your vocabulary. Come on, words, come on, words. That's a nice way to let everybody know, hey, I'm dealing with my illness right now, but without needing to go into a bunch of details about your symptoms. Ooh, and sometimes during that flat time, I will do something like laying on my cranial cradle. I made a video about that. You should check out cranial cradle if you don't have one. Excellent for like neck stiffness. Sometimes I'll use an electric massager. Sometimes I'll do an ice pack eye mask from the freezer. Feels really good on your face sometimes. Sometimes I don't like it, but lots of things that you can do to sort of refresh yourself during that time. Oh, and essential oils. Every once in a while. I really miss a lot of my old hobbies that I used to do, so I did need to come up with some new hobbies that I enjoy. So instead of CrossFit, now I do really shaky calligraphy. Yeah. It's a little ironic because my hands do shake a lot, but I figure it's good to keep up my fine motor skills, and it's very fun to use the little paintbrush pen things. It's like liquid eyeliner, but without the pressure. and they're just really satisfying and beautiful, vibrant colors, and from far away, it looks really good. Due to my chronic illnesses, I do try to make it so that I'm not the only person responsible for driving. Prior to coming down with my chronic migraines, I was the double D for a lot of my friends because I'm not super into drinking and I'm definitely not into being drunk when I'm out in public, so I make a great double D. However, since I get my migraines now, and especially if I don't have my service dog with me, I prefer to just have other people there who are available to drive us because why chance it? Plus then it takes the pressure off of me to keep super careful track of what symptoms I'm feeling while I'm out. That's like the last thing I want to be keeping track of when I'm out. And yes guys, sometimes I am out without my service dog, like when I went to dinner last night, so I just planned to have my husband drive us. Enough said on that. Alright, this one's a little embarrassing. They make little ultralight camping chairs that are just little tripods for backpacking. And I bought one, and I take it shopping with me. $10, I think it's just over a foot tall, and it weighs somewhere between 1 and 2 pounds. It can fit into a sort of large purse, and you can just kind of put it on the floor and sit on it whenever you need to. It's embarrassing enough to do it in the store, but I'm literally just shouting this on the internet right now and it feels weird. Yeah. Alright. Say it loud, say it proud, Jen. Yeah, I sit on a little camping tripod in the store. It helps me not faint in the store. With my POTS, I don't know if this is the case for everyone with POTS, but I'm like so flustered that I'm actually saying this, guys. What was I gonna say? I'm talking about my camping chair. Oh yeah. So with my POTS, I'm not sure if this is how it is for everybody, but if I'm walking, I'm actually usually okay. Like I do a really good job walking for a long time. But if I stop walking and I'm standing still, then suddenly it's like and then I'm like, good night. If you want to watch me faint, click here. So in the store, when I'm walking around, usually I'm totally fine. If I stop for a long time to like read pickle jars for a year because I'm crazy, then yeah, very rare occasion, but usually in that case, Buddy would alert me, I would sit down, he would do DPT, and then that's the end of that story. The camping chair is really just more for lines. I'm much more comfortable doing the service dog DPT thing when we're in an aisle than I am in a line. In the line, there's a lot of carts and people don't tend to see us if we're down on the floor, so it's better to just have the camping chair, and I can use Buddy to make sure that I don't lose my balance in the first place because my little chair doesn't have a back on it. And Buddy's vest actually says cardiac alert on it. So I think that when people see me with him and I'm sitting on this little tripod chair, people probably assume it's something with my heart. And I like that that is clear to them because that way if I do faint, people are going to recognize that it's a faint. It's not some like other weird thing. How are we doing? Good job, Jen. Good job, Jen. You can tell I'm getting a migraine because I'm singing to myself. Okay. I'm tracked. I have my location sharing always on with my husband, so when he opens up his Google Maps, in addition to the little blue dot to show where he is, he sees my picture wherever my phone is. He can also see how long ago he got that timestamp, and he can see how much battery my phone has. That makes it so that anytime I'm driving home and I want to pull over, I don't even need to think about where I am. I can say, honey, I feel weird, come on over. Again, it's just one less thing that I need to keep on my mind. It's one of those things that we've had as a safeguard for years that we have only needed to use once because there was a time that I pulled over and there were no cross streets. So it wasn't that I didn't know where I was, it was just that I didn't know where cross streets were. But we just never stopped because why bother stopping? I've tried to say this sentence like 6 times and I just can't say it. This is very similar to the don't plan things back to back thing. When it comes to meals and water breaks and my nap, I do my best to not plan things during those or at times that might interrupt those because I know that I get really triggered if I'm missing meals or if I get dehydrated or if I am somehow forced to stay upright for like 6 or 8 hours straight. Making sure that I get a meal, even if it's just a meal replacement shake like Huel, is much more important than, like, I don't know, brushing my hair before I go to the store, if I have to pick. I try to take really great care of myself in that way and prioritize meal times. Let's see what else. I hold the candle veto powers. Before we introduce a new scent in our home, whether it be an air freshener, a candle, deodorant, shampoo, anything, I sniff it, Migraine Jen sniffs it, Potts Jen sniffs it. We make sure that it's not going to be triggering for me before we fill our house with a new scent. I don't have a lot of scents that are super, super terrible for me, but there are definitely some strong ones and some really bad ones. Migrainers, you get me on this. I always check ahead for movies and rides to see if there's going to be a strobe warning. If there's a strobe warning, I close my eyes during whatever the strobe part is. When my husband sees strobes, he knows I'm going to be like this. And at the end of the strobes, he'll just tap me on the shoulder to let me know that the strobing ended. This is sort of a two-part modification to my life. One is that I do have to look for strobe warnings. The second is that I have my husband and my friends or whoever the people are that are around me, I make sure that they know what the protocol is if X, Y, or Z happens. I make sure that they have my husband's number or they at least understand how to respond if something happens or they know my kinks and my quirks. You know, open communication. I am losing it. Between them and their functioning brains and my service dog, we're able to keep really good track of how I'm doing. Because most of them know what Buddy's alerts mean too. Okay. Good thing I'm almost done because I am starting to lose it. I brush my teeth seated on the bathtub like an old person. Shower bench also recommended. Closet chair also recommended. And in addition, I do my makeup sitting on the floor in front of a full-length mirror instead of at the bathroom counter where I need to stand up. Phone charging cable, you can use one of those black triangular paper clip things and stick it on your nightstand and put the wire up through so that you don't have to bend down to the floor every single time you need a charger to bring it back up onto your nightstand. Or you can just like put a book on it or something else to weigh it down so that it doesn't fall on the floor. That's just another way to avoid up downs. Another life modification is my faint basket. I have a whole faint basket for, like, if I need something, I can just tell my friend, run into my bedroom, there's a brown basket in my nightstand, just nightstand with a T, not a K. Just bring the whole basket, that's everything I need. And I used to have a go bag for migraine symptoms or migraine attacks that snuck up on me back before I had my service dog. And that was the same idea. Anything to decrease the mental load when we're leaving is super important. Well, in all of life. Everything I do in my life. So having all of my migraine stuff in one place was really, really valuable. And I did get a video request to talk about what's in my go bag. So if I get the feedback from you guys that that is a video that you want to see, I'll go ahead and make that happen. But yeah, please let me know if that's something you think you'd like. And I think I am done. No, one more. I have a towel. Give me like 2 breaths. Okay. I took a towel that's one of the hand towel size towels. And I folded it up so that it has a couple of layers to it. And on my bathroom sink, I just stick it on the counter in my bathroom sink. This started because when I was pregnant with the baby, my belly was like, and so when I bent down to brush my teeth, my belly would hit the sink and it would be cold. I didn't like that. So I started putting a towel there. But over time, I learned that I really enjoyed having the towel there because when my symptoms come up and I want to be able to stay standing at the counter, I can rest my elbows there, and that does help with alleviating some of the stuff. It's not great, but it's softer and it's not cold. And most of the time I just go sit on the bathtub anyway, but sometimes it's nice to lean on the counter. Oh, and I lied. One more thing. I use a shot glass to brush my teeth so that I don't have to go under the faucet. That is a big whooshy twisty up down that I don't need to do. That'll get me spinning, that'll get my ears going. I won't be able to fall asleep because it'll be too loud. So I avoid that maneuver and I use a shot glass to rinse out my mouth. My chair's so squeaky. I realize that all of this is stuff that is within my home and it's very specific, but I hope that it gave you some ideas, and I hope that you guys can now also give me some more ideas. I know that a lot of you guys do still work in a workplace, so in addition to the stuff that I do at home, when I had my normal job, I also had some modifications that I made there, and some understandings or deals with coworkers, with my boss, even with upper management, with managers and CEOs, to make sure that my symptoms weren't interrupting more than they absolutely needed to be. So if you guys want to see a video about specifically the workplace tips, I would love to make that video for you because I did already start writing down my notes about that. And for any of you guys who are already working with migraine or with POTS or with, well, you guys know my audience, anyone who may fall into my audience even vaguely, if you have tips for dealing with this stuff at home, obviously do that because that's this video, but for work, go ahead and comment that stuff too so that I can add it to the work video when I get there. Thank you for joining. I cannot believe the baby slept through all of this and all that thunder. This is awesome. I'm thrilled. It's a good week. We're off to a good start. Have a killer weekend, guys. See you next week.